Michael Jordan bounces out. The greatest of all time, Michael Jordan, the man, the myth, the legend. He's basketball himself at this point. When I think of the NBA, I think Michael Jordan. No player in history matches the greatness that he has achieved. He's forever memorialized as the greatest player to ever touch a basketball. But is there more to the legend? We can only dive in and know the truth. Welcome to Michael Jordan Bounces Out. It's about to be a wild ride. Michael Jeffrey Jordan was born on February 17, 1963, in Brooklyn, New York. His mother, Dolores, was a bank teller who has since written several books. His father, James, was a maintenance worker turned manager at General Electric. Jordan, the fourth child of Dolores and James, had four siblings: James Jr., known as Ronnie, Dolores, Larry, and Roslyn. Growing up in Wilmington, North Carolina, Michael developed a competitive edge at an early age. It was James who introduced his son to basketball and built a basketball court in their backyard. Michael Jordan idolized his brother Larry, and the two would often play one-on-one in the night. Michael wanted to win every game he played. He attended Laney High School, Wilmington. He was notably assigned to the school's junior varsity basketball team as a sophomore. He was still under 6 feet tall then, before developing into one of the country's top recruits. During a basketball camp in the summer of 1980, Michael grabbed the attention of legendary University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill head coach Dean Smith and his staff. He signed his letter of intent with the school in 1981. The 6'6" Jordan began his professional career when he was drafted by the Chicago Bulls in 1984. He was the third overall pick behind Hakeem Olajuwon, who was selected by the Houston Rockets, and Sam Bowie, taken by the Portland Trail Blazers. The draft also featured legendary players John Stockton and Charles Barkley. Michael Jordan was to prove himself on the court. He helped the Bulls make the playoffs and scored an average of 28.2 points per game that season. For his efforts, he received the NBA Rookie of the Year award and was selected for the All-Star game. Although his second season was marred by injury, he broke new ground on the court during the 1986 to 1987 season. He became the first player since Wilt Chamberlain to score more than 3,000 points in a single season. By the late 1980s, the Chicago Bulls were quickly becoming a force to be reckoned with, and Michael Jordan was an instrumental part of the team's success. He was the head player. The Bulls made it to the Eastern Conference Finals in 1990 and won their first NBA championship the following year by defeating Los Angeles Lakers. Jordan was well known by then for his superior athleticism on the court and for his leadership skills. In 1992, the Chicago Bulls beat the Portland Trail Blazers to win their second NBA championship. The team took their third championship the following year, dominating the basketball world. But tragedy struck. Following the 1993 death of his father and a short stint in minor league baseball, he returned to basketball court and the Bulls in March 1995. His father's death really affected him and he had to step away from basketball for a bit and play baseball. But he made his way back in 1995. He came back even stronger the following year, averaging 30.4 points per game to lead the Bulls to a then record 72 regular season wins before they defeated the Seattle Supersonics for the NBA championship, making his second ring in the NBA. Chicago nearly matched the previous year's record with 69 wins in 1996 to 1967 season, a season that ended with a Game 6 win over the Utah Jazz in the NBA Finals. The two teams faced each other again for the championship in 1998, with Michael Jordan sinking the winning shot in Game 6 to claim his sixth and final title. In addition to those 6 rings, he won each of the 5 league MVP awards with Chicago Bulls. but there were a lot of setbacks and resilience. The setbacks of Michael Jordan. In the early days, he was cut from his high school team. As a sophomore, he was cut from the varsity basketball team at Laney High School. A setback that would have derailed his entire dream of playing in the NBA. But he was resilient and trained harder to get stronger to be able to play on the team. The loss of his dad. The tragic loss of his dad, James Jordan, to a senseless act of violence was a devastating blow that nearly cost him his career, but he was resilient, stayed strong, and made his way back to basketball. Embracing failure. Jordan famously stated, "I failed over and over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." He uses failures as a catalyst for growth and improvement. The more you fail, the more you can succeed if you learn from those failures, said Michael Jordan. His challenges on the court. High-stakes game-winning shots. He was often entrusted with taking the game-winning shots and missed numerous times. He just shot more times than he missed. That's why he's the greatest. He's missed over hundreds of times, but he shot over thousands of times. That's why we only remember the ones that went in. His competitive nature. His fierce competitiveness led to some viewing him as a selfish player on the court and off the court. But he's not just a selfish human. He's competitive. He wants to be the best. He wants to win. He wants to be the greatest. He wants to be remembered as the greatest, to have a legacy. And that is why he's the greatest of all time. You can't do that without being selfish sometimes. He had a weak defense. Some reports indicate that Jordan had difficulty against certain type of players, particularly those who would catch and shoot immediately. He was more of an attacker and not a defensive player. Michael Jordan's most iconic moments. March 29, 1982. Freshman Mike, 16-footer, with 15 seconds left on the clock, gave North Carolina the NCAA title. He just had 16 points as a freshman and didn't get the ball at North Carolina, but Jordan hit 3 of Carolina's last 5 field goals on a club that will feature James Worthy and Perkins. That was Larry Bird's observation that God disguised at Michael Jordan, playing 63-point playoff record game against what is still regarded as one of the best teams in NBA history. This came during the season Jordan missed most of the season because of his broken foot, and little was known of this. It was his first ever NBA game with more than 50 points, and his best moment in NBA history. June 14th, 1998, what I would call Michael Jordan Day. Michael Jordan hit the game winner for the title number 6 and held the pose, and everyone was convinced Michael was signaling goodbye to the playing basketball world. He was 99.9% sure he had also had 45 points in that game and hit this shot after swiping the ball from Karl Malone. And this
My next guest has a new film. No. You look good. You look rested. You look relaxed.
Thank you very much.
You enjoying yourself? You spending some time with the family?
Yeah, I just been hanging around home.
Yeah.
Doing some of my own duties and stuff.
Yeah.
Not really doing much.
Not talking to Tweety Bird every day. Pretty much.
At least my phone bill's down.
Yeah, that's right. Now you playing a lot of golf?
Yeah, I've been playing quite a bit. Actually, I just got back from Ireland and Scotland.
Yeah.
I was over there for about 10 days.
Now, how many holes you shooting a day?
Wow. At least 54 a day.
Really?
Yeah, one day I played 81 holes in one day.
When that? That's sun up to sun down?
I don't have a job. What else can I do?
Let me ask you about like golf course etiquette. Because it seems different. It seems like you have to be sort of. It seems like a certain kind of.
Well, yeah. I mean, it depends on who you're playing with.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm playing with some good guys, some good competition, then the etiquette is be quiet and respect everybody's shot, and quietness is of importance.
Really? Now, do you ever laugh at another guy's bad shots?
Depends on who that guy is. Yeah.
Now, I bring this up because I have a piece of tape here. Have you? No, this is the
Have I
ultimate.
seen this?
I don't know if you. This is ultimate golf course etiquette. This is you playing with Charles Barkley. Apparently, Charles.
Have you seen his swing?
Charles has hit a shot.
You laugh too. I promise.
I think he killed somebody with this. It went into the stand, and you literally fall down.
Oh, Bob Hope. Oh, I know exactly what you know what he said?
What?
He had 103 yards, I guess, and he hit a sandwich. And it went over the whole, I mean, behind the hole and everything. Oh, I hit too much club. No. You don't have that, do you?
We got it. Like, you look like you're having a heart attack. You laugh so hard. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. There it is. Look at that.
The people don't move. You know the funny thing? The funny thing, when the people saw him hit the shot, and they knew it was too long, none of them moved. They all went. And I thought that was the funniest thing I ever seen.
Now, has anyone ever laughed at you with a shot? Have you?
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You take it okay?
I mean, if you can laugh, you got to laugh at yourself first.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Well, you don't have any clips of that, I know. Good.
But we're working on it.
I know you are.
Now, do you miss basketball now?
Yeah, I mean, I miss it. You know, I don't watch it as much because of my connection to it, and the only way that I'm, going to get away from it is not to watch. So, I mean, I find myself keeping busy playing golf, and but I watch it every now and then. I joke around, call Scotty, call some of the guys, and just joke around with them.
And you save money on those calls?
Yeah, I do.
Now, do you ever have second thoughts? Do you ever say, like today, I just feel like I should be playing?
No, I don't regret my decision at all. I think it's the appropriate one. Or else no one else will have an opportunity to win if I keep playing. You know I'm going to get a bunch of phone calls.
Well, how about...
Oh, just kidding.
How about Phil Jackson's future? What do you see there?
I think he's going to coach again. I don't know when.
Do you think he'll go to the Lakers?
Maybe.
Yeah?
But I got a feeling, though, if Phil coaches again, you're going to see Dennis Rodman somewhere around.
Yeah?
He's the only one that can control Dennis.
Knicks, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah. Now, you look like you know the answer.
I don't. I promise. I don't know. No, I don't know.
How about you? Now, you were going to buy a team. It was the Hornets, right, Charlotte? Yeah.
Well, actually, they came to me. I think I didn't search out their opportunity. Right. They came to me and said, well, what do you think about it? And I evaluated it, and it just didn't fit. I wanted to have a lot more control than what they were willing to give. And respectfully, I mean, he made the choice that he wanted to make, and I don't disagree with that. I mean, I'm happy that he did, but I could not participate if I couldn't make the final decision on my money.
Right. No, I understand.
You understand, right?
I understand that.
Okay.
Because I know you haven't worked since January. Times are rough.
I don't have a job. You're right.
Cutting back a little bit, only getting the single patty, not the double burger. You got to, just...
No, I've been using the coupon card.
Oh, you got the coupon card. That's what I'm saying, Getting the free phone calls, you got to think about cutting back. You know what I want to ask you about? You were very eloquent about the last shot of your career.
Right.
And this was really fascinating. Explain to people what you said about, and this is probably a bad analogy, but sometimes when people have a life-changing experience like a car accident or something like that, and you kind of see, explain, go ahead.
Well, I said that when you're in the moment, as you know, is you're sitting there and you listen to me. And I said that within the moment of the shot, everything seems to have slowed down, and I could evaluate a lot of different things that were happening. The defense where I saw it, a lot of the guys were more or less focusing to their men, and I was in action, and everything seemed to be slow. So that happens. You know, maybe not to you, but to me,
no,
it does most athletes.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you're saying.
Right, and that's exactly what happened to me.
Is it like, the only analogy I can make, sort of, no, I'm being serious now. You're looking,
Are you? Serious?
No, but
okay.
Anybody that's sort of been in a car accident or something where you just kind of sense, oh my, is that
and you see it coming.
And you know, the car's going 70 miles an hour and you just, and I guess that's probably what it's like.
Well, I saw everything that was happening, and I got more complaints. People said I pushed off and I filed. I didn't have to. I mean, I felt I was in control, and I saw everything happening. And
well, here, let's take a look. We have it in slow motion.
Oh,
here.
gosh.
No, well, here, walk us through here. Watch it. Here we go. Take a look. I mean, this is great.
Well, I knew I had him off balance, and right then, I just felt everything was in place. And people say, well, why did you hold your shot, pull your hand out? The reason being is that the reason I held my hand up to follow through was the previous 3 shots that I've taken were short.
Right.
And if anybody have taken instructions about shooting, you want to extend as far as you can with the correct technique, and that was exactly what I was doing on the final shot. I wanted to make sure it got there. I wasn't rubbing it in his nose.
Great way to go out. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk. Boy, you smell delightful. I'd like to find out more about this. More with Michael when we come back.
Get your house in order. Get your shoes on straight.
Welcome back. Of course, with Michael Jordan now, you have so you got a new product coming out. What do you got? What do you got?
Well, I got a new cologne coming out.
Okay, now the other cologne's doing pretty good.
Actually, it is. It's done well.
Yeah.
I mean, you promoted it well.
Thank you.
You did a good
now,
job.
where does this fit in the cologne?
Well, actually, it's a little different because the first one was more surrounding around my athletic skills or basketball.
Right.
But now that I'm out of basketball, it deals more with my private life. My wife is in a couple of the ads, and it's just totally different than what people would suspect
So
about
this
them.
smells like you around the house. Like you in the den watching TV.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Just sitting there, big gut, got a TV going, splash on a little, rather than bathe, you can splash this on 2 or 3 times a day. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
Now, can you describe the scent? Can you?
Well,
I like to
guess-
see you squirm, that's what I'm saying.
No, it's very musky-like, but in a good sense.
Musky?
Come on, don't make me feel bad now.
You mean like musk? You mean like a manly?
Yes.
So women would not wear this?
No.
No, this is like a
the
man.
target is more towards the men.
Right, so it's geared. So if a guy puts this on, chances are women are going to go nuts.
Oh, we hope so.
Yeah.
With the right women, not. Well, okay.
Like if you put it on, I mean, if Dennis comes over, you're in trouble.
Oh, my God.
So there we go.
It depends on what he's wearing.
It depends how long you went out of the game. But let me, okay, now you shot an ad yesterday. But what's this ad you did yesterday? It looks like you're wearing kind of a dress or something.
Well, actually, it was Mr. Bijan's recommendation of truly a golf scene, but the golf scene had a lot of the, held the kilts of the...
The kilt. Well, let's see. Let's show the...
Oh, God.
The shot. We have some tape. There you go. Now, do you... Let me ask you,
Don't. I know what you're getting ready.
No, it's just kind of a bum-to-bum thing there. I like that. Now, the traditional Scotsman does not wear anything under the kilt.
I knew that was coming.
Did you have anything on under the kilt?
Yeah, I had something under.
The cologne.
Yeah, that was very awkward for me to do. I mean, I just got back from Scotland. I didn't see too many brothers wearing that. I told Mr. Bijan it didn't really fit in the neighborhood. You know, I'm gonna have a tough time selling cologne in that neighborhood.
But you can pull it off.
Yeah, right.
Now, do you have some here? Where?
Well, actually, my partner, Mr. Bijan, is coming out.
Mr. Bijan?
Yeah.
Now, you guys went to school together?
No, this is a special friend of mine. He is such a class act. Come on, you gotta give him.
He is a classy guy.
He's a great guy. I mean,
he does these really classy
It's not too many women here that hadn't worn his product.
Well, let's see. Let's bring it. Mr. Bijan, where's Mr. Bijan? Let's bring him out here. How are you? How are you? Nice to see you. Now, what do you have? Show me that we have a bottle here.
I do.
Just don't tell him about the kilt from yesterday.
Oh, what?
It was your suggestion, if you want to tell him.
Like was fantastic.
Now, did you have anything on under your kilt?
No.
Yes, I did. I did.
How did you know?
Well, he told me. I knew I set myself up for that one.
Now this is the new. All right, let me see here.
That's the one.
Okay. Oh no, you can still see your head on. You still got your head sticking through
Well,
the bottle.
that's a part of the line itself. Now you can't use that because it's still a prototype. But
Oh, this is the prototype.
yeah, but we bought something for you to smell too. Though.
You did. Okay.
Don't break that, please.
Okay. Oh, I don't want to. So this is the pro. So this is not. Oh, I see. This is the solid.
You just push it in the
Don't tell me he's gonna break it.
I see. You press this.
You got some?
Yeah, have I
got it.
What do you got? You're up to something. I know.
No, we bought. This is little stuff that you can smell.
This is
You know,
it
when
here.
you go to bed at night, try it and see what your wife says.
Go to bed at night.
Just spray it right behind the ear.
Okay,
you know.
right behind the ear.
If she smiles, you're in luck.
Oh,
If she doesn't, then you better go find Dennis.
It smells pretty good. Now, do you guys ever disagree on it? Like you work together coming up with the fragrances, right?
Yes, we do.
Do you fight? Do you argue? I go, no, it must smell this way.
He's actually...
No, we only had one. Well, actually, it wasn't a dispute. Was as you see, it's a blue.
Oh,
The blue. What color do you want?
No, the
Well,
blue,
what do you call that blue? He calls it.
I call it Mediterranean blue.
Mediterranean blue.
And he call it what?
I call it Carolina blue.
Carolina. I'm going to take a wild guess and say Carolina blue won out. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, can't you tell? Look at the claps.
Tell us when did this come out?
It means a lot. I mean, it's basketball mecca, you know, and I enjoy playing here. I think the fans here are very up to understanding the game, and you know, for me to come in here and to play as hard as I play and get the respect of these fans, that means a lot to me.
Was it a little lonely being without some of the stars that you played in this game before? Charles wasn't here, Clyde not here.
Yeah, the first thing we said to each other, Carl and I, we're the two oldest guys here. You know, and things have changed. I remember when we were the two youngest guys here. You know, Sean Kemp said, boy, it's pretty quiet with Charles Barkley not being around. So, I mean, everybody could tell that, you know, times are changing. Some of the old guys are starting to move along and let some of the young guys come in. So, I mean, it's starting to change.
Can you compare this to your first experience in an All-Star game?
No, it's different. It's the other end of the spectrum. You know, I mean, when I first came here, I didn't know what to expect playing in an All-Star game. I just wanted to fit in. Now, I know what to expect, and I'm just trying to fight off all the young guys.
So now that this is over with, you got to gear up for the second half of the season. A little bit of turmoil in Chicago. How do you look at that? How do you guys get together and go for that next championship?
Hey, we block all that stuff out, you know. And if it is true, I mean, this is the last time we go around together, and we use that to our momentum. And you know, hopefully we can go out there and focus on the basketball game and forget about all the other stuff. You know, once we're on the basketball court, it's all basketball anyway.
All right.
These charges. This is the first time Michael Jordan has done an extensive interview about his gambling. When we caught up with him at a celebrity golf tournament in Lake Tahoe last weekend, he told me he's going to change his ways. Because of the books? Because of the NBA? Because he's a hero to millions of kids? Michael Jordan says it's because of his wife.
Michael jackknifing across the lane for Wesley Green for Jordan. Three again. Come Michael's good again.
You don't have to be a sports fan to know that this man is beyond human.
Superman back in the building. Superman is back in the building.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan, nicknamed Air, because the laws of gravity just don't seem to apply.
Yo, Professor, how does Mike defy gravity? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know?
At age 30, Jordan has led the Chicago Bulls to 3 straight NBA championships.
And let the celebration begin here in the Windy City.
The Dream Team to an Olympic gold medal. And most importantly, he's given America and the world a sorely needed hero. He's a modern-day Elvis. A Jordan sighting sparks a frenzy. His touch, a burst of tears.
Well, I hope you enjoy it. What is not normal, sometimes it's a little embarrassing.
Is it because you're the greatest athlete in the world?
That's hard to judge.
Greatest basketball player in the world?
That's still hard to judge.
Oh, come on. Are you sure this isn't an oh shucks kind of routine?
Me?
Yes.
No. This is me. Believe me, this is me.
Like Mike, if I could be like Mike. I'm gonna be like Mike.
Being Mike means making a record $36 million a year in commercial endorsements.
Air Jordan. Over the second rafter, off the floor, through the window, off the wall, nothing but net.
And being Mike, according to the World Almanac for 6 years running, means being the most popular human on the planet.
If you could be Bill Clinton or Michael Jordan, who would you be?
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Ah, Michael Jordan, the basket. People all over the world like him. And who likes Bill Clinton?
I'd be a president with a better jump shot.
Can you go anywhere, maybe outside the country, and not be recognized?
I used to. I used to go to Paris a lot, because Paris was a place that, you know, I could just walk on the streets. I can sit out and have dinner or have lunch or whatever, and people never really paid attention.
Did you feel a great deal of freedom?
Oh, I love to do that. I just stay outside all day. I wouldn't want to go inside at all. I just love sitting out and watching people.
Michael, you really do seem very normal, you know?
Well, I try to be as normal as possible.
Jordan has always pursued normalcy, like a championship ring.
I always felt I was going to be a bachelor. A woman would marry me, and I end up doing my cooking, my dishwashing. You know, these are things that I used to do at home because we had chores to do at home.
You're like a poster kid for clean living.
True. Now, some of those things have changed. I don't do them now as often, as I've said. But
you don't vacuum anymore.
If I make a mess, I will. You know, I will. If the maid's not coming today or, you know, soon, and it's a mess. I mean, I'm a tidy person. I don't like to have a dirty home or, you know, untidy situation.
The maid is not the only important addition in Jordan's life. Juanita Jordan, 2 young sons and a daughter, share the burden of being related to a legend. And understandably, Juanita prefers staying in the background. Tell me about your wife.
Her? Very demanding.
Thank you.
Very mature, as you know. Very caring. Good mother. Learning to cook. I love her to death, though. I mean, she's got a sense of humor just by hanging around with me.
You knocked down a good wife. A great wife.
That's everything. That's everything included.
While to the public, Jordan may be the world's greatest basketball player, at home, the legend gets benched.
She's the head of the household. In some ways, I am kind of afraid of her, but not to the point where, you know, I won't go outside. I won't do anything. She runs the house, so I must give her that.
She's the boss.
She's the boss. But she don't make jump shots. That's the difference.
Jordan for 3! Yes!
While Jordan's heroics on the court are phenomenal, 63 points in a single playoff game, you might not know about his off-court heroics with underprivileged children. Despite a hectic schedule that rivals the president's, don't look for a limo or a driver. This megastar likes to keep things simple. Off-season, he runs a basketball camp.
You afraid? Join the club. Come on over here.
And with the help of his mother, Dolores, he runs the Michael Jordan Foundation, which serves needy kids in Chicago.
Remember I saw you there? I was walking around with you.
Being involuntarily elected to the status of master role model has not been easy.
It's a heavy burden because they expect you to be the most perfect human being that you can be. And for a while, certainly I tried to do that. I tried to live that life of being the most perfect person. But I had to come to my senses. Hey, I'm just as human as anyone else.
So when was the turning point?
The turning point was the gambling. All the gambling incidents. You know, it illustrated that, hey, I made a mistake.
Jordan's mistake? Mixing his lust for golf with heavy betting. 2 years ago, it was revealed that Jordan had written checks totaling $165,000 to pay his gambling debts, including one to a convicted cocaine dealer he had golfed and gambled with. Although Jordan did not break the law or any NBA rules, the league reprimanded him for gambling with unsavory characters. The scandal tarnished Jordan's squeaky clean image and raised questions about his judgment.
Actually, I was gambling unknowingly of this guy's background.
Wouldn't you characterize another mistake in that incident, the fact that you said it was alone in the beginning? I mean, because in the strictest sense of the word, Michael, that could be considered a lie.
Right. A lie to me, you. Yeah, I mean, that would be considered a mistake.
Gambling has cut short or even ruined a lot of professional sports careers. Can you give it up?
Can I give up what?
Gambling.
Oh, sure. If it affects my life
or the way I play the game, or jeopardize my family, or my financial status, or whatever, or the security of my family, sure, I give it up in a minute. To solidify my argument is, you know, whatever I've lost, I don't know what he would never, I shouldn't tell you this, but I will tell you, whatever I lost, the 108, the 55, or whatever I've lost, I've always given it back to my wife. So whatever check I make, here, honey, I'm sorry for the embarrassment, I'm sorry for what I've caused for, you know, losing this amount of money, you know, here, take it, do what you have to do with it. I wasted it, so this is yours, this is the kids, this is whatever. I didn't have to tell you that, but that tells me, and I'm sure that I'm not a gambleaholic. I know where I am, I know what I'm doing, but if I feel I've done something that has embarrassed the family, I want to correct it, but yet I want to move on from it too as well.
All right, I'm going to play shrink here, see? All right?
Okay. I'm supposed to play patient or what?
When you said that you give your wife the $57,000 or the $108,000 that you lost, you know, that says to me, you feel guilty about it.
I feel guilty that I did it and I actually didn't tell her I lost it. That's where the guilt comes from.
Oh, you didn't tell her.
No.
But then when you do give her that money, you do tell her.
Right.
But when you lost it, at the time you lost it.
I was really embarrassed to tell anybody because I lost. That's the most embarrassing thing is that I lost. But I mean, I had to tell her because, I mean...
She's the chief financial officer.
I mean, everything that comes in and leaves, she sees as well as myself. And, you know, I don't want anything hidden from her. Even though I try to keep things from, you know, in a sense, away from her because I know her. She's saying, "Oh, did you lose that much? I can't believe you lost that much." She's concerned that, hey, don't make this a habit here, you know. Which I reassure, hey, honey, I can stop if it's bothering you, if it's something that's gonna have us go opposite ways. Fine, I won't do it. And I've learned from my wife's perspective to bet $10, $20, $50 at the most.
And that's it?
That's it.
Do you think you have a gambling problem at all?
No, because I can stop gambling. I have a competition problem, a competitive problem.
Betting on anything from jump shots in practice to putts is common among athletes. They just aren't allowed to bet on their own sport.
He's like my little devil on this side. I got an angel on this side. Every now and then I listen to him, every now and then I don't. So.
Jordan's best friend, Charles Barkley of the Phoenix Suns, thinks Jordan trusts people too easily and is a target for opportunists.
That these people not his friends?
What people?
The public in general.
Oh, no.
But you got to realize that, you know, everybody, he's obviously a great businessman for everybody, so everybody's his friend now. But when push comes to shove, they're not his friends.
Opportunist is what Jordan's friends called this man, Richard Esquinas, who wrote and published a scathing bet and tell book at the height of the NBA playoffs. Esquinas, a California businessman who played golf with Jordan, claims they went on a betting spree, which ended with Jordan owing him $1.2 million. Esquinas charges Jordan with being an addictive, compulsive gambler.
Michael and I got out of control wagering at levels that shouldn't be wagered at for anybody, whether you're an athlete or not.
On Monday, Esquinas met with NBA representatives to discuss the allegations in his book.
I don't want to play commissioner, and I don't want to play the NBA, but Michael should be reprimanded for gambling out of control.
What NBA rules did he break?
To my knowledge, he, again, I'm not the commissioner, but as I understand it, he did not break any rules because there's no rules against legalized gambling in casinos or on the golf course.
So what should Michael Jordan be reprimanded for?
Well, the league, I think, and the commissioner is concerned that maybe this gambling is spewing off into other sports or other activities.
Well, do you have any knowledge that it has spewed off into other sports or other activities?
I have no concrete knowledge that it has.
Esquinas says he wrote the book as a friend to warn Jordan that he had a serious gambling addiction.
Oh, my hope was that maybe I'd reach out to Michael and maybe he could see that by what I was going through, by what I had experienced, that maybe he could gain some insight into what impact gambling and the situation that him and I went through.
No
happened.
friend would write a scathing book that is critical of a person's gambling problem, release it in the middle of playoffs at a critical time when the friend, quote-unquote friend, should be concentrating on the game.
Sure. The friendship had been betrayed by Michael long before that.
Did you lose $1.2 million to Richard Esquinas?
No.
How much did you lose?
$300,000 is what I paid.
$300,000.
Over a 3-year period.
And you paid it up?
I paid it up. Actually, I was in the process of finishing off all the payments. But when he pulled this stunt, we never had a written agreement. I was more or less going off my honor. And I felt he dishonored me, so I don't owe him any more honor at all.
So how much do you owe him? What was the remaining debt?
What's the balance? 0 for my book. And I write a book on it.
He says in his book, at one point you said you may as well shoot Esquinas as pay him. Do you remember saying anything like that?
Do I appear to be a violent person? I mean, I couldn't harm a fly, really.
I said, Michael, I expect payment. And he says, I'd just as soon shoot you as pay you.
Did you actually believe that Michael Jordan was capable of violence?
Well, I didn't want to believe that that's true, and right now, as we speak, I don't know that Michael was capable of that kind of violence.
Even in your book, you said you didn't take it seriously.
I said didn't take it seriously. I hoped, but I did take it to my therapist, who was very concerned about it.
If you didn't take it seriously, why did you put it in your book?
I took it to a level of seriousness, but not to the level that I was shaking in my sleep every night that Michael was going to come in and shoot me.
Didn't you really want the publicity for the book and to make thousands of dollars on a blockbuster book?
No, that was not the primary motive for the book.
Was it one of the motives?
Oh, if the book sells and does well, I'm a businessman. I hope it does. I hope it makes money.
Jordan says he has learned 2 lessons: not to bet large amounts of money and to run a check on people before he lets them get too close.
Credentials harder for people to get inside.
How do you check them out?
I have an agency that checks them out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Was it like a detective agency?
Something like that. I even had you checked out. Just kidding.
Ooh. I'm clean.
You are. That's why I'm doing the interview.
The thought has occurred that you aren't really gambling with money. You're gambling with your reputation. Gambling with your good name.
What would they consider my good name? The purest of all pure? A person that doesn't make mistakes? I'm not the perfect of all people. I do make mistakes, just like any other person. I go to the bathroom just like any other person. Maybe it's time for other people to step in and live this lifestyle. I don't have a problem with that. I'm past that stage in my life that, I must live the perfect life. If that's what it takes, I'm not the man for you.
Even superstars have wishes. The one thing Michael Jordan wishes for is the one thing his fans have taken away. Michael, if you were invisible, what would you do?
Go to an amusement park with my kids. I haven't done that in I don't know how long. And I miss it. There's so many people there that, they would just invade on the time that I would try to give to my family. And that would be the number one thing I would do first.
I asked Jordan if he resents the questions on gambling. His answer, yes and no. It is his private life, but he says he wanted to get the matter off his chest. He hopes he has put the gambling
team is, we all have to look in the mirror and understand, okay, what can I do better to make this team better, and we also have to be willing to accept constructive criticism, nothing personally. We hung out, we had fun, we would joke around, it's nothing personal, but in competition, when you're trying to, exceed and be successful, we have to hold each other accountable. That's what teammates do, and it's nothing really personal about it.
Yes, Luke admits that consistency was his big issue and that he struggled with it, and you struggled with the fact that he wasn't consistent enough.
Yeah, it was times like that, and I'll give you a good example. He may not like this story, In '98, we were playing the Utah Jazz. Did he ever tell you this?
I'm not sure which story this one's going to be.
In Utah Jazz, Scottie Pippen was out, you know, and we knew we just played Utah in the finals the year before. So every game we play against Utah is a message. You want to send a message. So I go to Luke at the beginning of the game. I say, look, you have to establish yourself inside. You have to dominate. We're going to come to you early. You're really going to have to set the tone for us because we don't have Scottie. It's me and Dennis and you. So he understood that. He knew the importance of that. The first quarter ends. Luke has 12 points, 4 blocks, and 4 rebounds. And I go to Luke, I say, that's how you play, man. You do that, we dominate. We up by 16. We're up by 16. We're killing them in their building. At the end of the game, Luke had 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 blocks. It's like he sufficed the anticipation or what we wanted him to do in the first quarter, but he forgot it was 3 other quarters. We're winning by 16, we lose by 15. So now my frustration is like, you know, it's boiling, and I go into the locker room and I'm sitting down. I'm just trying to figure out, how did we lose this game? We seemed like we had a good rhythm the first quarter, blah, blah, blah. And Luke's sitting across from me. And once again, Luke has this demeanor that, you know, he doesn't really show. Like I'm like boiling over here, but I'm really trying to hold it in because it's just one game. But I understood the significance of the game because we're playing against Utah. You want to make sure that we send a message. And Luke says, it's okay, mate. It's okay. And the way that he said it made it seem like he didn't really receive it the way that I was receiving it. And I just chuckled and I just looked at Luke and I said, you know what, Luke? That is the last time I'm gonna give you a compliment in the middle of the game. Because you don't receive compliments well, in the sense that you feel like you stop and you don't really pursue. And I said it, you know, from a, chuckling, because I was really frustrated as opposed to yelling. I wanted him to understand, look, man, you don't have to just, you have to keep playing. You don't play just for one quarter just so that now I can look at you and say, you're doing a great job, blah, blah, blah. And I get it, but we still have to play the other three quarters of the game. And it told me more about Luke in the sense that, you got to keep pushing him. You got to keep pushing him. You got to keep pushing him. You can't let him get comfortable, because he gets comfortable, then he relaxes, and we need him to keep being aggressive, and from that point on, I didn't do it in a way, I don't think I did it in a way to point, or jab, or punch. It was almost like, okay, I gotta keep encouraging him. I gotta keep encouraging him. Even when he's doing well, I gotta keep encouraging him, because he needs that, that reinforcement. That was the thing I learned about Luke. And once I learned that, then I understood how our relationship was gonna be established. And, a hug is probably more than a yell. A pat on the back is probably more than a punch, that type of thing. And, once I was able to understand that as a leader, then we can always have a certain dialogue. Okay, mate, I can go back and forth with you, but also I know how to get you to this point that we need you to be consistent. Phil was good at it. I learned it from Phil. Phil understood that with Dennis, he understood that with me, he understood that with Scottie, Tony, Steve, all of it. And that was the strong points about who Phil Jackson was. I had to learn that through him, and then when I got back, obviously, I had different personalities that I hadn't been with, so I had to understand who these people were so that I could have a relationship, the Steve Kerr and the Punch, and, Tony Kukoc from the 92, Dream Team, blah, blah, blah. Once we understood how those dynamics would work, the communication aspect was much simpler.
So you obviously taught Luke a lot. Did Luke teach you anything? You kind of intimated a little bit then that you realised that you had to kind of meet the person where they were at. Was there anything else that Luke taught you?
No, I think, I mean, his calm demeanor and his acceptance for all different types of people is an unbelievable trait, you know. And I was able to learn and watch and analyze how he built his relationship to, you know, coexist with in his personalities and his friends and things of that nature. That, okay, I could take bits and pieces of that. Now, could I change my personality? I can't, you know, but at least I can have a better understanding for how other people are thinking, so it can alter my thought process and how I would adapt to certain people. So yeah, I learned things from Luke. I learned things from other players. But my personality was always going to be dominant no matter what, but at least it was a consideration to understand and appreciate who I'm playing with and what gets them to tick and how do you know, relate and have a relationship with them. I mean, those are things that I had to make adjustments to.
So you won 2 3-peats, which is just beyond incredible. How hard was that second 3-peat for you? Sort of just summarising all of that up for me.
Well, it was harder than the first 3-peat, mainly because I think, you know, anytime you continually repeat things, it's harder from a mentality standpoint to create that hunger, as if you never won or you're just winning for the first time. The first 3-peat was a team that was together for a long period of time, you know, pretty much 8-9 years, you know, we were together. Second 3-peat was a patchwork. You know, we got players from different places, you know, and I wasn't there most of the time when they got there. You know, the first time I was there, I was the existing parts from the previous year. And then we just kept plugging it in, and everybody, you know, saw the mentality, everybody adjusted to the mentality. Well, the second 3-peat was I brought my mentality to a team that was already existing. So now I had to apply that, and it was much more difficult to do that, you know, in the second 3-peat than the first. And, you know, not that it, you know, obviously it worked, but it put a lot of, you know, mental and physically, you know, straining, you know, situations, you know, with teammates, you know, and understanding, you know, the mentality that it took to win. And we got there, and we appreciated. And, you know, the 96 was probably the toughest one because I was coming from, you know, a defeat in 95 where I played baseball. Everyone thought I was a step slower. You know, so I had to prove myself, you know. And my father, you know, the first time I actually done it without my father. So, I mean, all these emotions and all these different things are coming at me. And, you know, to me, that was the most difficult if I had to pick of the 6. And then once we were able to understand, okay, this is Michael Jordan, he's going to be aggressive. This is Luke, he's going to be somewhat passive, but you got to pull him along. Steve Kerr, you got to get him encouraged. Dennis, you got to pull him in every now and then. He's going to be Dennis. Scotty's going to be Scotty. You know, once we understood how the players were on that team, it clicked. You know, no wonder we won 72 games, you know, the following year. And then, you know, we was able to maintain, you know, what we did pretty much in the second 3-peat, but it took a process, so it was much harder.
Thank you. Now, look, The Last Dance was absolutely huge in Australia. Everyone loved it. But Australian viewers also wondered why Luke wasn't involved and why Luke wasn't interviewed. What's your take on that, Michael?
You know, you can say that a lot, and the thing is that I had no control in terms of who you were going to interview. There was a lot of guys that said the same thing, and Jason could answer it much better than I, because it was more of their control, you know. And once again, he was and is, you know, an integral part to this whole process. And I think that, you know, if you look back and say, well, we should have included Luke, we should have included, you know, other players that were significant to the team, and it's hard, you know, but. You know, I had no control over that, and you know, it's unfortunate, and I can understand why Australia would say, well, why wouldn't we include Luke? And we probably should have. And that was, I guess, if you look back and say if I could change anything, that's probably what I could have changed, where you would want to interview every single body and get a perspective from a lot of different angles.
Now, your desire to win and your toughness on the team as a result of that is absolutely legendary and was explored in The Last Dance. Luke described your leadership style as carnivorous. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that from his perspective. Quite naturally, yes, I can see that. And look, I didn't go in there with that mentality. That's how it's gonna. It's just so my mentality was to win at all costs, and pull, push, yank, whatever to get everybody on the same page. And I understand it. And the thing is that if I were to change my personality back, to something totally different, I wouldn't be who I would have been. I don't think we would have had the same successes. I think a lot of players probably wouldn't have been the same in terms of their perspective, So yeah, I can see him saying that, but the thing is that I think it was needed in some respect, and I think our success illustrates that.
One of the themes of this story in Luke's life, it's sort of charting Luke's life, is the fact that he did have to change. He was a gentle giant. He got to the NBA, he had to kind of put on the armour and toughen up. And then he found once his NBA career was over, he found it very difficult to shed that sort of tough armour that he'd had to sort of gird himself with. And that he quite struggled with that for quite a long time. Can you relate to that?
110%. Part of my struggles after the game is my competitive drive. I was such a competitive player, and each and every day felt the need to always get ahead of my opponent. Well, when you're out of sports and you're in normal life, you don't shed that armor that you actually have coated yourself with, based on your lifestyle and that work ethic. It's just, you have to find your way around it, and that's frustrating, and sometimes that's even tough, because of the competitive nature that I have. I look at everything from a competitive nature, and I tell my wife all the time is that I'm cursed. I'm cursed from a competitive standpoint that, I cannot watch or compete or be a part of things without competition, and that's something that I live with today, but I would not want to live without, because I think it says so much about me and helped me define who I really want or was or am, and attain all the things I really wanted. Now it's the challenge is to calm those nerves. That's why I do a lot more fishing now. I would have never thought I would get on a boat and go fishing, but the competition of patience and being, trying to catch a fish, trying to be patient. It's not going to happen. You can't make it happen. You just have to be ready when it does happen. Those are all things that I think calms me down a lot more than if I'm playing a sport, if I'm playing golf or if I'm doing anything competitive, because I think that, that's what I need. That's the therapy that I need to help soothe some of this competitive juices that I have.
Well, that's interesting because Luke loves fishing too, loves boats and fishings. When you look back on those years, was it sad to say goodbye to your teammates like Luke once the sort of Chicago Bulls and that team were no more?
Yes, and it's still sad. I mean, look, Luke emails me all the time, and every time I see it, good day, mate, it brings a smile to my face in the sense that, we don't spend the type of time we used to, even though, if you ask him or you ask me, I think it was genuine time, even though we were competing and we were learning about each other and we were pushing each other, blah, blah, blah. Those are still genuine times, and you don't share those with too many people, So yeah, I miss spending time with him, I miss seeing, that face that's never gonna be sad no matter what happens, he's just funny. I think the thing that was in amazement of every time I'd spin and see Luke, it was a shock to see someone, he was looking at me and I could feel this coming from him, is that how can one person be so competitive each and every day and blah, 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 and yet he doesn't seem like he's enjoying life? when actually I was enjoying the competition. That was my enjoyment. I sensed that sometimes when he used to look at me, and just kind of, and I didn't take it negatively. I took it as a badge of honor. I take my job seriously. I take my competitive nature very seriously. But sometimes looking at him and seeing and joking and, we sense of humor and, it's fun, and you miss that. You miss that celebration of starting a goal at the beginning of the year, and then at the end of the year, the gratification that we went through hell to get here, but we got here, and let's just enjoy it. Let's have fun, and let's do it again in another 3 months. That was the mentality. You missed that in '98.
And you're a busy man, Michael. Why did you agree to take time out of your schedule for Luke, to do this interview for Luke?
He matters to me. He does matter to me, and his story needs to be told. And I'm pretty sure I can enlighten it from my perspective, and and give people his meaningfulness to me. As a teammate, as a competitor. Sure, I mean, there's some good and there's some bad, but that's all a part of life. You're gonna have friends that you have good and bad things about. But we went through the trenches. We shared a lot. We competed together, and I would take him any day of the week if I had to go through a competition again. If you asked me to do it all over again, there's no way I would leave Luke Longley off my team. No way possible, because he mattered. He had an impact on me. He helped me change as a person. So I mean, to hear that they're recognizing him, and you would think, most people think, what can they be saying about Luke in a documentary? You can be saying a lot about the guy, and I am a example of what he meant to me and how he made me better as a player, as a person, and that story needs to be told about a person that people think is very, very minor, but they're not. They're very major when it comes to winning a championship. Those people do matter.
Well, that's lovely. And at the end of the day, Luke credits you with compensating for his weaknesses with your brilliance and dragging him across the line 3 times. So thank you very much for that.
No problem. It was my pleasure. And once again, they are motivating to me. They were, for me to ultimately get them where they needed to go, and ultimately we got where we needed to go. I mean, it was teamwork. It wasn't a one band. It was teamwork. They made me better as well.
Michael Jordan's ventures outside of basketball. In 2006, Michael Jordan bought a share of the Charlotte Hornets, formerly known as the Bobcats, and joined the team's executive ranks as the management member of the basketball operations in 2010. He became the majority owner of the Charlotte Hornets and served as the team's chairman. Improving the team's less than stellar record seemed to be Jordan's priority. In November 2012, he told ESPN, "I don't anticipate getting out of this business. My competitive nature is I want to succeed. It's always been that. He always find a way to do it." While the Hornets' on-court record wasn't hugely successful, they failed to make the playoffs 6 straight seasons from 2016 to 2022. The organization grew from $1.5 million valuation in 2006 to $1.7 billion by 2022. In March 2023, ESPN reported that Michael Jordan was in talks to sell his majority stake at the franchise to a group led by 2 NBA minority owners. 5 months later, in August 3rd, Michael Jordan completed the sale of the group, including the team's minority owner Gabe Plotkin, as well as the music artists J. Cole and Eric Church. Jordan kept a minority stake in the franchise. Some iconic quotes by Michael Jordan. "The game of basketball has been everything to me. My place of refuge, place I've always gone where I needed comfort and peace. It's been a side of intense pain and the most intense feelings of joy and satisfaction. It's a relationship that has evolved over time, giving me the greatest respect and love for the game. I try to be a role model for black kids, white kids, yellow kids, and green kids. Enjoy every minute of life. Never second guess life." And finally, I always thought I would be a professional athlete. I always loved the sport. I knew one thing is that I didn't want a job. Me and working were never best of friends. I enjoyed playing.
Maddie.
And on to the final chapter, the legacy of Michael Jordan. The legacy of Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's legacy is one of unparalleled success and cultural impact. He's widely regarded as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Numero uno, number one. Leading the Chicago Bulls to 6 NBA championships and earning numerous individual accolades. Beyond basketball, Jordan's impact extends to sports, marketing, fashion, and global popularity of basketball. He made it popular again. And that's why he's the GOAT. I know you guys argue LeBron but I ain't going to cap. Michael's the GOAT, bro. It's just what it is. Let's stop this argument. Michael's the GOAT. And that is how it is. Oh, this is documentaries directed by Nazaro. Thank you for watching. Comment your thoughts below. What do you think? Comment your thoughts on Michael Jordan's career. Could he have done any better in his career? What could he have improved on? Or do you think LeBron is a better basketball star? Or Steph Curry is a better basketball star? I don't believe that, but hey, if your opinion is that, then say it with your full chest. Maybe you could be right. Who knows? Comment your thoughts below. Comment feedback. What do you want to see more of on my channel? Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. And YouTube recommends this next video and thinks you'll love it. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Peace. Michael Jordan bounces out.